Hey, welcome to Black Hat Reviews. We are here in shiny Erie, Pennsylvania, where it is way too hot outside. Now, this is a pilot video, so if the sound quality is not that great, I apologize. The video quality is not that great. I'm still learning, so we'll see what we can do. Now, I do not know everything there is to know about cars. I'm not a mechanic. I'm not a wealth of knowledge. Now, this is just one guy's opinion on various cars that I can find to look at, review, and test drive. So today we're going to be looking at a 2010 Mustang GT convertible. Now let's start with the outside of the vehicle. This is the side of the vehicle. Now this is my personal car. It is mostly stock. Not too many changes. Now these are the wheels. Now I do believe that every single Mustang GT has the same silver wheels. Doesn't matter if it's black, silver, red, whatever the case may be. So luckily my car's silver, matches pretty good. Now one thing that is not stock are these center caps right about here. Now I do believe that the original center caps are just silver and it says Ford in them, but when I bought it I did not have those and they did not have any there, so I got these nice black ones and they seem to match everything okay. Now walking around, you can see that this top is also not the original top. It came with a canvas top, but the canvas top was falling apart, so I had to replace it. Now this is just a vinyl top, which is fine for Erie. I mean, it rains a lot and snows a lot up here, so a vinyl top should hold up pretty good. Now, what I do like about this car is the fuel door. Now there's no button on the inside. All you gotta do is just press it. Bam, opens right up. There also is no cap. That's right, no gas cap. That makes life a heck of a lot easier and a lot less stuff to lose. Close that back up. Now walking around the back. This is the first year, 2010, where they came out with the sequential turn signals. So that means one lights up after another after another. So when I went to buy this car, this is something that it had to have, a sequential turn signals. I didn't want anything older than that. Now you can see the GT logo right here, and on the back where it says Ford, right under the GT logo, it's actually one of the very few places on the outside of this car or inside of the car that actually say Ford on it, surprisingly. Another thing not quite stock about this car are the exhaust. Now this has 4.5-inch exhaust tips on it right now. The stock has, or the exhaust has been modified, so that is not quite stock. I do need to change that now that I'm in Pennsylvania. I know it's confusing. I got a Florida license plate here in Pennsylvania, but the exhaust will not pass emissions up here. So that's something that's going to have to change, which is why I have been kind of hesitating on putting my exhaust or getting a new registration and a new plate for the car. Now walk around this side. The antenna is another thing that is not stock. This is a short antenna. It only has a longer black antenna that broke, so I had to replace it, and I thought the short black chrome looking antenna looked a little bit better. Now the reception isn't great on it, but it's not the worst either. Now walking around the side of the car. Sounds a little bit bright. Now you'll notice on the side right here, the badge that says GT. 2010 is the last year it says GT on the side badge, simply because it is also the last year they made the 4.6 liter V8. Now, if you do have a GT that is a 2011 or newer, it will say 5.0 because it has the 5 liter V8. I wish I would have known that before I bought it, because apparently that 1 year from 2010 to 2011 adds an extra 100 horsepower to the vehicle. Well, would have been nice info to know beforehand, but either way, here it is. Now, these wheels, I did actually upgrade the rotors, so they are slotted and drilled rotors. Hopefully you can see that in there. Not the standard disc rotors that it comes with. The wheels are a decent size. They're not 350. I wish they were 235/50 with a rim size of 18. So not the biggest, but not the smallest. It gets the job done. Oh, all right. We go around front. Now this particular Mustang came with a blacked out front grille, which I like very much. Instead of the chrome pony in the middle, it is now black. I'm also a fan of these big fog lights. Now, I think they did away with these big fog lights in front, probably 2013 or newer, but I am actually a big fan of them. So, that's one thing I do like about this year and make model of this car. Now that's pretty much for the outside. Let's take a look at the interior. Alright, now we're inside this 2010 Mustang GT convertible. Now, the first thing we're going to notice is, bam, down here, there are 3 window switches. That's because the back one back here actually rolls down the back rear windows, which is necessary because it's a convertible, so they want all the windows to roll down before you put the top down. Makes sense, I guess. What's also nice is the first 2, the driver and passenger side window lock, or window roll down switch, are automatic, which comes in handy also when you want to roll down your windows really quick before you put the top down. Now, this is a premium convertible. You might be wondering what premium actually means. And from my understanding, the only difference is the seats and the sound system. There might be other things, but I have no idea what they might be. So the difference is these seats in here are actually leather seats in front and back. Now I do have tan leather seats. They all do also come in black and red. I do like the red better, but this is what they had available when I went to go buy my car, so that's what I got stuck with. Now let's take a look to the steering wheel. Alright, we do have some buttons on here. We have our cruise control buttons on and off, obviously, right there. Cruise control up, cruise control down, and resume on the other side. Have your volume for your radio controls, scanning through stations, and talk, and I'm not sure exactly. This does have phone sync, so you can sync your phone up to it, and it works fairly decently, though I have realized that sometimes it doesn't sync your phone up when you start the car, and you actually have to go into settings and set it up again, which can be quite annoying. But for the most part, it works alright. Now let's take a look at the dash. What confused me, or I had to get used to, I guess, a little bit, was the fact that the speedometer right here is actually on the left side of the dash and not the right. Every other car I've had the speedometer on the right side. But for the Mustangs, it is different, which means the odometer, bam, right side. In the middle, you got your standard fuel gauge, temperature gauge, battery, and oil gauge. Oof. Now let's go up top. Before we do that, let's take a look at the center stack. Now this does not have an actual navigation screen in it. I do believe you can get some with it, but this particular model does not have it. Now with the premium package, I do believe that's where you get this shaker sound system. Not too bad, but not the greatest, but it is definitely doable, better than stock. Then you have all your radio controls, your presets, and all your other buttons, your sound, your menu, change the clock, all the average stuff. CD player, AM, FM, and then all your temperature gauges down here at the bottom. Your defrost, rear defrost, even though this is a convertible, the rear window does defrost. Your AC, and your temperature gauges down here for max, bam, hot, cold, all the normal stuff. Now this is an automatic, so automatic shifter, and all your transmission, what you might put the car in there, park, reverse, neutral, drive, 3, 2, 1, and traction control, hazard light, and trunk. Now It is hot. I am sweating my butt off. So let's go over here. Glove box. Standard glove box. Average size, got some stuff in there. Back seats, not the biggest. If you're gonna fit an adult back there, I highly recommend you take something different. But with my two kids, they fit perfectly and not an issue. Now the third one all the way, we have a baby coming here soon any day, and fitting a infant car seat in here is going to be interesting. But I'll let you know how it goes. Now we do have a cup holder here. Fit 2 drinks. Now because it's an automatic, it's not a huge deal, but I feel like they did not think this all the way through, because with a manual, you can see this drink holder is right behind the shift lever. So if you have any drinks in here trying to shift, I imagine you are going to be hitting your drinks almost every single time you shift, which is not too much fun. Now you do have some storage space here in the center console. Not huge, but enough for whatever you might need. Now what is interesting is I do have a backup rear camera. Now you might be thinking, hey, there's no screen. Where are you going to put a backup rear camera at? Where's your screen? How are you going to see? Well, that's a good question. I thought the same exact thing. Now, apparently, it is in this mirror right here. So if I turn this car on and put it into reverse, bam, you can see that that is the backup camera. It's not very big, but the picture quality is actually quite good, surprisingly. Also does not have any trajectory, but it gets the job done and is useful than having no backup camera at all. Now the top, to put the top down right here, put down this visor, put down that visor, you have a little clip right here. You take down, unlatch, also take this one down, unlatch it, and then hit the button right here in the middle, and the top goes down. Now if you have a 2015 and newer convertible, the top does go down a lot quicker. This takes probably twice as long, but still under a minute, so I can't complain too much. Now let's take a ride and see how she handles. Alright, before we take a ride, I did want to mention that I got the car started. That screen down here says oil change. I do need to change my oil. I'm getting kind of behind on that. But the nice thing about this is, let's turn this off a little bit. Maybe you could hear me better. Alright. Nice thing about this screen is that you can, let's go through it. Let's see, that is what I typically have it on. Your mileage, how many miles you have to empty, and your odometer reading. I do have a little over 40,000 and a half miles on it currently. Now if we just press this, let's press the info button first and see what pops up. Have your average mile per gallon, which is I'm averaging a little over 18, not the best. Now you got your timer if you want to track your car, your tripometer, your trip B, and back to where we started. Now let's press the setup button. Press setup. Let's see your reset for system check. Your oil life is at 0. Like I said, I do need to get an oil change. Gauge color, you can change the color of your gauges. Your halo light, which is nice, your halo color. Your ambient lighting, ambient if you want it high or low. You can also make your own color, which is this my color settings that they have. You can make your own color. They have most of the things that you might want, so if they don't have the traditional colors in their system, you can create your own if you want it in English or metric. So a bunch of different things they have there, which is nice. Your ambient lighting, that is going to be, bam, where your cup holder is. You can see these little plastic rings in here. They light up whatever color you select it. They also have little lights in the footwells you can only see at nighttime. It only comes on at nighttime. And also the footwells in the back. Now, I think that pretty much covers it. You got a 12 volt right here. So, if you need an extra car charger and you don't have anywhere else to plug it, you can plug it in here. They do have a USB for your car charger in this center console, or your center storage unit. So you don't have to worry about having a 12 volt if you do not have one. Now, I think that pretty much covers everything in here. And well, let's take a look at one more. The driver footwell, also the passenger footwell, has the word Mustang on it. This also lights up at nighttime, whatever color you decide to pick. So just a nice little touch. Now what I don't like is I was looking for aftermarket stuff and I wanted to put floodlights, which go right on the bottom of your mirrors. And for 2010 specifically, I cannot find them. Now, I have a hard time finding parts for 2010 in general for aftermarket, simply because in 2010 they decided to make a new body style, but keep the same engine, and in 2011 they decided to upgrade the engine to keep the same body style, so they don't make too many things for this specific year, unfortunately. It's one of the downsides of having a 2010. Along with that, this car has 315 horsepower, 325 foot-pound of torque. And like I said, if I would have got a 2011, could have upped it to over 400, almost 100 more horsepower. But live and learn. So let's take her for a ride and see how she handles. Alright, let's start her up. The exhaust is a little loud. Hopefully you can hear me over the exhaust. If not, I guess I gotta talk louder. So, put it in drive and let's see how she handles. The first thing you notice is if you're used to a lot of the newer cars that have this electronic assisted steering wheel, this is definitely a lot heavier feeling the steering wheel than a lot of vehicles you might be used to driving nowadays. After driving my wife's vehicle, I got behind the wheel of this and you could definitely feel a huge difference. I didn't know how I was going to feel about it at first, but you get used to it and I actually kind of like it. It actually feels like you're steering and controlling the car a little bit more than having all this electronic assisted stuff they got going on nowadays. Now if you've driven a newer Mustang, 2015 or newer, the suspension is a little bit stiffer, not as nimble as the newer Mustangs are. But not too bad. I mean, if you're looking for a Mustang and you have a limited budget, can't complain too much. Now, I forgot to mention the seats. At least the driver's seat is electronically adjusted, so you could press a button, move it forward, backwards. Also has lumbar support, which is nice. Passenger seat is not, so you actually have to adjust that manually. Going backwards, forwards, the back rest on it, going back and forth. But I don't have a passenger in here too often, so it's not a huge deal to me, because I'm the one always driving my car. So, let's go. Explore it. It never gets old putting your foot down. Yeah, it takes a little bit. There's a little lag time between when you put your foot down and it actually getting up and going, but once it does, it puts you back in your seat. It puts a smile. You can't help but put a smile on your face. It puts a smile on my face every single time. Awesome. Alright. Other than that, it doesn't feel, I mean, it's a car. It feels like a car. It's not new. You know, it's 8 years old now. 2010, it was some time ago. But it feels good. It feels good. I bought this car probably about a year and a half ago, and when I was looking for a car, I lived in Florida at the time. And I wanted a convertible, and I wanted the Mustang. Those are my only two things I knew I wanted. Was it had to be a Mustang and it had to be a convertible. You know, I didn't do too much research on models of, you know, before 2013, because I figured if I was going to get one, I wanted a 2013 or newer, depending on what my budget could afford. But they had at the dealership was a bunch of V6s. They were 2013 and newer. The V8s they had were out of my price range, and all the EcoBoosts that they had were brand new and also out of my price range. So I figured I was gonna have to settle for a V6, and I was okay with that, I guess. You know, I picked out the color I wanted, got the car, and said, all right, I'll get this one. And luckily that car was sold, he said. He went back there and he researched and the car was sold, and he said, you know what, I do think I have a V8 on the lot. It is a 2010, so it's a little bit older, but it is a convertible and it is a V8, and I'm like, all right, let me see it. Now, being this probably early 2017 at the time, I was like, all right, well, I was kind of expecting a car with high mileage on it. This car did not have high mileage on it. One owner, 25,000 miles, which is not very many. So I was pleasantly surprised and decided to buy it. And I do not regret it for 1 second. Now I had to run in the store for a little bit, start her back up. Oh my God, I love that exhaust sound. It's a shame when it has to go away. That's why I wanted to change my exhaust. That was the first big change I did to this vehicle, was that exhaust, just because I wanted a V8 that sounded more like a V8. I mean, nowadays, you get a V8 and it barely even hear it. Doesn't sound fun, but now every time I put my foot down, whew, you can't help but to smile. That is just makes you happy. Now it's a fun vehicle to drive, and like I said, I just moved up here, back to Pennsylvania probably about 2.5 months ago. So I have not been able to drive this car in the wintertime yet. So that is going to be an experience. One I can't say I'm exactly looking forward to, but it's gonna have to happen eventually, so at least it's not for several more months. Now the gas mileage on this vehicle, it says 17 city, 23 highway. I haven't gotten close to 23. Not ever, not even a little bit. You saw it earlier, I'm a little bit above 18, so that's pretty much where it's been at for the past 1.5 years that I've had this vehicle. So you can't expect to get great gas mileage. I mean, it does a little bit better than the truck that I had, but not by much. You know, my truck I think averaged 14 miles to the gallon, so this is only 4 miles to the gallon better. So don't get a V8 if you want great gas mileage. Now the EcoBoost, if you're able to get a newer EcoBoost, great on gas, especially compared to this. Like I said, that's what I was looking for when I went to go, you know, find my first Mustang, but I could not find any that were exactly what I wanted in my price point. So, all in all, this is what I had to settle for, and I'm alright with that. I'll live with that. So like I said, this car is failure stock. There's nothing crazy I've done to it with the engine or performance or anything like that. I'd like to eventually, when I have the money to, but those things cost money, and with a baby on the way, money is one thing I do not have right now. So it is what it is, and I'm alright with that. I actually don't want to do too many performance mods, just because, like I said, this being a 2010 with 315 horsepower. You know, if I would have known I could have got 2011 and I would have had 100 more horsepower, then that would have been great. But I did not know that, so I'm not going to dump a bunch of money into something that I know still isn't going to be able to compete with a 2011 or newer, unless I dump some serious cash into, and I'm just not going to get a return on that when I go to sell the vehicle. So probably not going to do too much as far as performance, but definitely maybe some more cosmetic changes, maybe some racing stripes or something. I don't know. I haven't thought too much about it, but there's definitely some things I'd like to do to it. But getting behind the wheel, it feels pretty good. You know, I like the heavy steering feel that it has. I definitely love the noise it makes when you put the gas pedal down, hearing the RPMs go up. And a fun vehicle to drive, all in all. I mean, it is definitely a fun vehicle to drive, and I don't have too many complaints about it. Backup camera definitely comes in handy. Well, that's about it for this 2010 Mustang GT Premium Convertible. There's probably some things I left out, probably some things I forgot. But like I said, this is my first video, so it's not going to be the best. It probably feels a little stiff, and hopefully that gets better with more videos to come. If you like what you watched, then please hit subscribe. But until next time, take it easy.